Okay, so the next question is, I was looking at the point where the law recognizes a relationship. So anybody at all can have a relationship until they have formally entered a certain level
of relationship that the law recognizes. Perfect.
So you have marriage, which is recognized by the law.
Perfect.
And then cohabitation.
Right.
Is it recognized?
No. So this is how it is put. Cohabitation of and in itself really is not recognized by law.
Okay.
In fact, there is a bill in Parliament now where parliamentarians are seeking to make cohabitation, to legitimize cohabitation, such that if a man and a woman live together, not as married couples, but live together as partners, as romantic sexual partners, where they, in that understanding, contribute to the acquisition of a particular property in that cohabitation season, the law would be passed. They are still looking at it though. It's not been passed. It's a bill still being discussed in court. Parliament, and seeing how best they can just put it out. So that is that. But cohabitation, apart from that, is not recognized in the legal system. However, cohabitation can be evidentiary. In other words, it can be a basis for claiming a particular situation, which I'll come there soon. But cohabitation of in itself has no basis. In fact, culturally, we don't even condone that.
Yeah.
We don't condone that culturally. So that if on that premise we don't condone that, then there is no basis for it. However, as I've already said, cohabitation can now be a basis for claiming that a particular situation exists. And what kind of situation is that? We would learn that there are 3 types of marriages in Ghana, right? We have the ordinance marriage, we have the Mohammedan marriage, and we have the customary law marriage. Now, customary law marriage has 2 types. We have the formal type and the informal type. And when we say the formal type, we mean that where the rites are performed, where the 2 parties go through the ceremonial rites that the woman is given out in marriage, the bride price is taken, and all of that. That is the formal type of customary law marriage. Now there is the other type of customary law marriage, which is the informal. Now that is where cohabitation will now play a key role in determining that indeed that particular relationship that exists is a customary law informal marriage. So in that sense, cohabitation has now come in as a key role in determining that particular kind of marriage. Now, what we mean here is this: they have not gone through any rites, they have not performed any due rites, but they have lived together. They hold themselves out to the entire world as living as husband and wife. In fact, they have even gone ahead to even give children. They have 3, 4 children. They have lived together a long time, but they have not performed any duties customarily. The question is that, does that qualify as marriage? Yes, customary law, or informal customary law marriage. And that is how cohabitation would have come in to play that particular role, to establishing that particular fact of law. Yeah, so that is how the situation plays out on cohabitation. So the answer is both yes and no, depending on where you would have begun to see the cohabitation point of view from.
Okay.
Right.
My question then is, how long should the 2 people live together for it to be determined as considered as an informal cohabitation?
Well, so as long as so that, for example, I have Sewa as we are cohabiting, and in the cohabitation we have kids. Now, in that we have built some properties. In that we hold ourselves out as cohabiting. God forbid, the person dies, the man dies. Now, it was 2 years, it was 3 years, whichever number of years that we purported to hold ourselves out in that situation. The question is that, did we hold ourselves out in that period of time, however short or however long it is, as being husband and wife, even though we have not performed the due rites of going through the legalities? If that is the situation, then the court or the law would deem that relationship, that cohabitation relationship, as evidentiary, as a ground to establish that there is what? Informal customary law marriage. It is a court, of course. It is a court. It's a question for the court.
Because
it's a question for the court.
I was going to, because my next question was going to be, what if they moved in like under 6 months and something happened?
Oh yeah. So the question is that did we hold ourselves out as husband and wife? Mm-hmm. Did we acquire properties within that period? Did we cohabit? Did we even give children in that period? So you see, there must be practical steps or factual situations that must be taken into consideration for the court to be influenced in his mind to come to the conclusion that indeed there was a cohabitation, and for which reason that cohabitation ground can qualify that relationship as what? An informal customary law marriage.
Okay, what about a situation like this? A man and a woman, they have children together. They carry themselves as married couple,
right?
But they don't live together.
So the question is that, even married people, are they all the time living together?
They are not. They are not all the time living together, but there is a legal document that goes to show that they are married.
Perfect. So now the question is this: if they are not living together, is the living together the only basis we are able to? Of course, that is a genuine point to raise. Mm-hmm. And if I were a lawyer, standing on the other side, I would raise that argument fairly, that they never live together as husband and wife.
Yes.
So what other determinants are we looking at to come to the conclusion that they were holding themselves out as husband and wife, for which reason they were cohabiting? In fact, the idea of cohabit is habit.
So they have
habit. So it connotes the idea of
living together
and living togetherness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But again, the question is, in this day and age of technology, when we say cohabiting, does it necessarily mean that under the same roof? Now people do video calls and enjoy love more than living under the same roof.
Yes.
So the fact that we are not living under the same roof, but we are doing all that we are doing, that will be another question to determine anyway. Would that qualify as a cohabitation situation? So a number of factors would have to be determined.
Yes.
To be looked at.
Family could also
to come into the determination.
Because it says
we knew about this.
Exactly. That is one of the.
But I think one of the points that you made clear was that it serves as evidence.
Right.
So if there is evidence to hold that these people were actually together, for instance, you said if they are holding themselves out as a couple and people saw it, people actually recognize that this is what they are doing. Yeah. Of course, you have neighbors, people who can attest to the fact that the person pays visit probably on this amount of occasions.
Right.
All of those things actually go to testify that the person actually was doing this kind of thing with this person. Right. I get that on the basis of that.
Okay. If that's the situation, my next question is this: what then is the difference between that and boyfriend-girlfriend relationship?
Yeah.
Because especially what he was.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Especially what he was describing. There are many boyfriend-girlfriend relationship where the girl goes to the house.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They do wife duties.
Perfect.
Yeah. So at that point in time, what distincts the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship?
So you see, you have coined it to be boyfriend-girlfriend. I have refrained myself from saying boyfriend-girlfriend. I am saying what the law is saying.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And Stanley has wronged me, and I want to take Stanley to court.
Secret address.
I am the one supposed to go and prove that
there is something
going on between. I don't give that burden to the court.
Right.
Exactly my point. So if I am going there, then the fact that I know that there is something called informal customary marriage, then I would want to tell the court that even though we were not married, there is no legal document. We were informally customary.
So you have placed yourself in a very good position.
You have hit the nail
right
on the head. So you go to court and say that I was having a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship because the court doesn't know that relationship. The court knows that okay, you were cohabiting,
Yeah.
okay, you were doing A, B, C, D, and therefore that should qualify as an informal customary law marriage.
Yeah.
But you go and say we're having a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
So there is no
probably
framework.
Be the one to defend yourself and say no. It wasn't that. It was just we're just boyfriend girlfriend, which the court doesn't hold.
So basically, there is no framework recognizing the boyfriend girlfriend relationship, but then there are elements within marriage, or say either traditional or ordinance or any kind of marriage. Those items or those elements are what you can use to actually pin somebody down or corner the person into that particular space that the law has provided. So if the law says that you can be traditionally married without necessarily having to have a paper, or even having done the rights, it recognizes that. Then a boy, or I mean, why am I even saying a boy? Even a girl, whatever the case is, whoever seeks is it right to say redress?
Right, redress, right.
Whoever is seeking redress to in court must now prove. The onus lies on the person to prove to the court that there's something going on between the two of us, or there's not say the two of us, but there's something that binds us to certain elements found within the provisions of the law.
Perfectly.
All right. So I have, let me see the next question.
Now, so before we go to the next question,
yes.
I think it's important to also address this issue of promise, the girlfriend-boyfriend relationship.
Thank you.
Where now a promise is made. I need to make that
I'll marry you.
because we mentioned the promise because there is a legal framework to support what we call breach of promise to marry.
Thank you.
In other words, the man can sue the woman that you have breached your promise to marry me, and that action is maintainable at the court, and redress can be given accordingly. So that has to be also mentioned in this particular discourse that we are having now. That the man, the woman, that the two of them that are in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
Informal relationship.
Relationship.
That has no label.
That has no label. You have made a promise to me, and the promises that you have made, you've bought me a wedding ring or a promise ring. You've sent me a card. You bought me the Bible. You've taken me to your parents. You showed me to your pastors. You have taken all the necessary steps where now I, the lady, or I, the man, or the other woman that I would have potentially gone ahead to pursue because of that practical steps of promise that you have made or you have assured me on, I have bounced them.
You see how the work calculates.
But
So then it's not just
but even that one we can.
it's not just word.
No,
But the
there must
person
be
has gone
there
ahead
must
to-
be practical steps that would be determined, or that would conclude that indeed the person actually made what a promise to you. Not that I love you. That I love you merely is not enough.
It's not
We even
enough.
say it to our
But
friends.
to
Yeah.
make
So you see, that was why I said earlier that I could have that relationship with Jesse.
Yes.
Jesse, I love you.
okay.
You see?
Okay.
Exactly.
No, he said it that way.
Yeah. That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
So you can have a relationship with somebody that's an informal relationship.
Right.
It is not a formal relationship that is stipulated in the law.
Right.
The only time you can hold someone accountable with the law is when the relationship is strictly stipulated in the law, or there are elements of the law in the relationship that you can use to pin the person
Exactly.
to a particular kind
of relationship that is recognized
by the law.
Perfect.
If somebody goes to a lady and thinks that the promise of marriage, which is the case for most of the guys, promising marriage because they use it to bait the ladies into relationships. This particular thing, the ladies can take them up.
But I don't think
No,
so.
no,
That's
no,
a promise. He
no,
said,
no.
I would like to. He didn't say I'll marry
So
you.
see,
So even if the guy promises that I will marry you, and then you go into the relationship and the guy has not moved or taken any steps
Yeah, based
So
on the
was-
lawyer, what
so-
lawyer?
That one
was-
is just weird.
Right.
That
So you
was
see,
what I was
because
asking
it's not a light matter. So hold up. Again, this one will take us back to contract law class, which I am
You don't
so
want it.
much tempted not to go into. I don't want to do that. Otherwise, it
It will
would
skew.
throw off the entire discourse. When you say somebody has made a promise, or somebody has made an agreement with another person, what is an agreement? There are some valid elements of agreement. One of them cardinally is what we call offer. Has the person made an offer to be bound by what he has proposed in that particular offer? There is a distinction between what an offer is and what we call an invitation to treat. I could make a statement to you which may seem as an offer, but by law it is not an offer. It was just a mere invitation to you to a treat.
Yeah.
So
Like-
most of the statements that we make are just mere invitation to treat. I love you. Oh, the guy says he loves me.
He wants to
I want to marry you. Oh, is the guy really meaning it? Is the guy really serious about it? And a whole legal framework will be looked at to determine whether indeed that statement that came out was indeed an offer or just a mere invitation to treat. So that if it is just a mere invitation to treat, then that should be disregarded immediately. But if it's an offer, that one too, the legal framework will be determined to come to the conclusion that indeed that statement was what? An offer. Then that would now ground. This one was a promise that was made to me. This one is not a promise that was made to me. So the mere I love you, I'll marry you may not necessarily qualify as a promise based on which one person can sue for breach of promise to marry.
This is
So
weird.
I feel sorry. I think that, so as you were saying, host, our ladies just would have to sit up
Yeah.
and know
Exactly what I was about to say.
our ladies
Talk is
would
cheap.
just have to sit up
As I am from
and know what they are going in for and know the risks that are involved, so that if it happens that it doesn't go that way, you knew before you went into it. Exactly. So that is the key
even
here.
in our cultural, not law, like when something happens between you and a guy and probably you go crying to your parents. In my house, the first question my dad will ask you, how far did you go with him? Has he shown you to his parents? There should be steps,
Practical steps.
which
you can
Something
lay hold on.
foundational.
a little bit of foundation, not just. So he said you met him. He said he loves you. He will marry you, and then you moved in with him. You've never met his sister. You've never met his brother.
You know nothing about
And you
him.
stayed with this man for 10 years, and the man is saying that, okay, now I don't want to marry you. And he leaves you. How are you going to prove that you and the man?
You really meant
You
what he said or
No.
what you said.
talk is cheap, oh, ladies.
Yeah, so that is how breach of promise to marry usually come about. It is maintainable. A person can, because there would have been waste of time, there would have been waste of opportunities.
That's what I was more interested in.
If you are a woman now, if you know your biology or the biology of a woman,
The
when now,
biological clock.
yes, now the eggs are reducing when you are growing up.
The
You don't
peak
get
years.
your opportunities of giving birth
Yeah.
with a man you love or you want to settle in as a husband is reducing, and all of those matters are taken into consideration by the court when it is determining that indeed there has been a breach of promise to marry. And of course, it is known in law that you cannot force, or the court cannot force one to marry the other person. It's not possible.
Okay.
So at the worst case scenario, what the court will just do is just compensation.
Compensate. So there are damages.
Yeah, monetary compensation.
Interesting. I like this because I think, for instance, in economics, there's a term known as opportunity cost.
Right.
So if you are foregoing something in appreciation for another,
Right.
then it is because you have a scale of preference.
Right.
Because like you had something to take and you measured that the relationship mattered to you more than some other things.
Right.
So if somebody wasted your time for a number of years or for a period of time because you forwent some other things that could have come to you, then the law now calculates all those things and then
opportunities
lay down as damages for you.
Exactly.
Jesus is
They're just going to quantify it. And but of course it's always, it will not be commensurate.
Obviously.
The time lost alone, the
We
opportunities
can't even
never
tell
be
some of the
commensurate.
opportunities that you lost.
Exactly. The rich one you lost out.
The ultimate is to have been married, which the law cannot
exactly
force the guy to.
All right. So I have a question. Now that we are looking at elements within the frame of law itself, so if it can be seen in a relationship, then it's enforceable by law. The right to privacy,
right.
Whether within, I don't know. I think within marriage it's rather easier because they have an understanding, but within relationships, I'm asking whether if I deem certain things private, say a business person in a relationship.
So when you say the relationship, now we have understood what it means. So
yes,
you have to qualify it for me. Is it a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship which has no basis?
Which has
or
no basis.
the marital relationship which has a basis?
No, I'm looking at boyfriend.
Right.
Because the majority of persons that we have, I mean, we can transpose this, the effect of the discussion can be transposed towards marriage.
Right.
But the majority of persons that are watching and all of these things, are now learning these basics and are not necessarily married. So if I have, for instance, documents that are private or things that are private to me, and my partner, perhaps via some jealousy streak or any other thing, I don't know, decides to go find out, invades my privacy, let me put it that way, invades my privacy to that account. Is this something that the law can enforce if I decide to sue that a person has his privacy?
Definitely. Even in the marital setting, check our Constitution, Article 18, makes provision for even in the marital setting when parties can off and on their own acquire properties.
Okay.
It is the law allows every the right of person to acquire properties either together with another person or on their own accord, so that if we are either whether married or, of course, as for relationship, that one will not even count. The law allows or affords me the opportunity to be able to acquire a property of my own, clearly distincted, clearly delineated. I can acquire it, so that if you happen to be my girlfriend and you are now getting jealous, so you are invading or you are trespassing. So when you say you are invading, is it you are trespassing? Are you trying to convert it? Are you trying to destroy it? Are you trying to do what with it? The law allows me to go have recourse to court and have same addressed in the court. Yeah.